like to welcome you to Teaching Leadership's 879 Instructional Planning and Delivery. This is a class where we're going to look at the research involved in planning excellent lessons and units, and also the research in how to effectively deliver it. And it will culminate in teaching a lesson in your classroom, or at least developing, if you don't have a classroom, a lesson, a unit that will be effective. In this short video, I'd like to introduce you to the course, and I always like to have 5 questions answered when I was going to school. So we're going to try to answer these 5 questions for you today. How do you navigate the Canvas course? How's it constructed and put together? Who's in this class with me, and what type of person is this instructor? And what are you going to do in this course to get an A? So let's try to answer these questions for you. First of all, when you get on Canvas, the very first page area you see on the left side is a home, and I'd like for you to read that first. This is one that welcomes you to the course, and it contains actually this video, as well as the video to introduce me. Also, you'll find how you can get your textbook, and we'll talk about all those things in a minute too. In Canvas, you're going to find every week I'm going to send you an announcement. The announcement will keep us abreast of what we're supposed to be doing and what we have done. Always I'll include a humorous cartoon to illustrate the focus of this next chapter. And then I'll always have a guest speaker. Gary Brooks is usually him. He's a principal from a southern state that I wouldn't take too seriously in the advice that he gives you, but it does tend to brighten the day as you listen to him with his practical advice. On the second page, you'll find the syllabus. I'd like for you to either download it or just read it there on the page. It has everything that you need to know to be successful. If it locates any people that you may want to consult if you have trouble with technology or in any other area. Also, you'll find below it all of the assignments and when they're due, and it'll even keep track of your grades there. So the syllabus page is one of the first things you'll want to look at too. The syllabus is quite lengthy. Don't get all scared because of its 11 pages, but it will keep you abreast of what we do, how you're going to get your grade, and the like. If you're new to Canvas, you might want to go through the Canvas Introduction module, which will cover all of the ways to navigate the course pages, how everything operates. And so if you're new, it takes you about 25 to 30 minutes but you can pick and choose what you want to examine. On the third area, under modules, you're going to find everything that you're going to need to do well in this course. The course is organized by weeks. We have 16 weeks, and so the weekly modules you'll want to click on as we get to them, and there everything that you're going to need is there. You'll notice that the very first thing in any module is the things to do up at the very top, and it will give you kind of a list of the objectives that this module will be covering, and then what exactly to do. Following that, you'll see the videos that you might want to consult and view. I give you the time on them. If you're a new teacher, you haven't taught yet, I'll always have one or two new teacher videos that you probably need to watch because it takes you right into a classroom and talks about the things in that module. The articles are short reads. They're always kind of give you a different slant or different idea on the topic for that module. And then the last is the assignment area. As we look at different chapters of the book, the text that we use, you'll first find the quiz, and then you'll find our discussion board. Those are located at the bottom. But the modules are where everything is located. When it comes to those assignments, the quiz that you take after reading each chapter, there'll be 20 questions. Those are mostly multiple choice and then ending with some true and false, but it is to kind of check for understanding. Your answers will be given to you right after the quiz, and most of the time you will not find them difficult if you've read the chapter. Also, you'll find the second assignment is a discussion board, and there you'll be answering one of three questions. You don't answer all three, but you choose one, and two of them will usually have to do with the chapter reading, how you might apply it to your classroom or your future classroom, and always the third one will be dealing with your upcoming unit to get you ready for preparing that section or analyzing that section of your teacher work sample. So the two things usually you find are the quizzes and the discussion boards in each of the modules for the different chapter readings. When you have finished reading all 7 chapters, we'll be putting together and teaching a unit where we're working towards usually around week 9, where you teach your 5-day unit, or at least 5 days, and then you complete a teacher work sample. If you don't have a classroom, we'll give you a fictional classroom with students and the like, and you won't actually teach it to them, but you're going to analyze the data given that fictional classroom. But we're going to cover the teacher work sample quite extensively. But when you do turn something in, you'll find you're turning it into the drop box, and in each drop box, either for the discussion pages or your teacher work sample, you'll find the rubric and how it's graded. So you might want to check to see what you're going to be evaluated on. I'll also give you quite an extensive narrative on what you said or what you did as part of that rubric feedback. Once you turn it in, it'll show you that Canvas will show you that it was turned in, and so later it will appear, once it's graded, evaluated, your grade and the narrative summaries will be shown to you. Throughout the course, as we said, the things to do page will be the very first thing that you're going to find, and on each week. Notice that you have the module's objectives, kind of what was covered in the text or the videos that were shown, and then asking you to do certain things. Make sure you kind of cover those things. And then, of course, Gary Brooks, my buddy, will be giving you some humorous advice. You can watch those if you like, or just skip them, but it does brighten my day listening to them. Also, you're going to find our pet avatar. He will be at every assignment giving you useful tips. In fact, for each of the quizzes, he's going to give you an answer to one of the questions on there. So you might listen to him just to get the answer to the quiz. Again, rubrics will be used, especially for the teacher work sample. We'll cover that quite extensively. But for each of the discussion pages, that rubric will kind of define how you get your points, and then I'll write a narrative also explaining. Your grades, again, are displayed at the very bottom. You can keep track of exactly how you're doing and keep track of when it's due. So Canvas is a great way to keep up to date on my comments and controlling your grades. The text that we're going to use is a new one. We haven't used this one for this class before. The other one was quite outdated and quite expensive, so we've changed to use Paul Burton's book. He teaches at K-State. I've gone to several conferences with him, and he is a very detailed individual, and he's got his book to where now it only costs you something around $29 if you get it on an ebook format, which I think is the best way to go. If you want to get both the loose leaf text and the electronic text, I think it's around $60. So I've tried to make this cheap for you. If you really want to go with the big printed book, I think it's around $110. But I think you get by easily with the e-version, because you get that for a year, and it's easy. In my opinion, you can read it anywhere you go, even on your telephone. We'll be looking at 7 chapters dealing with planning and delivery. We're not going to cover classroom management and those sort of things that you see in some other classes, but this is centering simply on the research that deals with planning and delivery and managing lessons. So 7 chapters, and I think you'll find some interesting ideas, even if you've taught for a number of years. The people in your class are listed there under people. In fact, the very first thing we're going to do is introduce ourselves, and so sometimes you're going to have some of the same people you've had in classes before. So that's kind of a good way, as best we can, to make relationships online. You're going to be asked when you introduce yourself to share anything you feel comfortable with in your personal introduction, as far as your family or children, what you like and don't like. But I would like for you, if you are teaching, to tell us where you teach and what your grade levels are. If you've been a para before and haven't taught, anything that would help us to get to know your educational background. And then I'd like for, on the last 2 questions, to talk about what you see as the greatest challenge in teaching and what's your greatest satisfaction. Because as we introduce ourselves, I'd like to kind of be able to get a handle on you by answering those 4 questions. Again, you'll put that in the introduction drop box and be responding to at least 5 others. As far as getting to know me, if you've had a class from me before, you don't need to watch this, but do have a PowerPoint, which is kind of humorous, that introduces me all the way from this dapper looking fella to what I do today. And if you watch that, see if you could answer 1 or 2 questions about me. One of them's false, one of them's true. Like the first one, I flunked the 3rd grade and have been to Russia twice to tour and teach in various schools. If you think that's true, that's fine. Or I've biked across Kansas, I've bungee jumped off the bridge in West Virginia, and I placed 2nd in a Fort Scott mud wrestling contest with mixed genders. So interesting 2 questions. See which one you think is true. Basically, the next question you always want to know, what are you going to be doing in this course? Well, this 3-hour course is going to expand your toolbox, I hope, on planning and teaching. And it's going to give you an opportunity to implement a unit in your classroom, or develop a unit and fictitiously kind of deliver it to a classroom. So if you don't have one, there are 5 things that you'll get a grade for. You're going to have 7 chapters to read, and there you're going to have 7 quizzes, and you're going to drop the lowest grade so you can mess up on one. And then you're going to do 13 discussion boards, and those kind of are graded by rubric, but we're asked there that you respond to 5 others once you post one. And then your big assignment will be due at the very last day of the course is to implement all those things that we've talked about in the 7 chapters and discussion boards, and turn in your teacher work sample. That's your biggest assignment. Then after you watch this video, you'll be taking a course quiz, so I kind of know that you know how this course is going to be operated. It's a good check for understanding. And then just as I evaluated you, at the very end you're going to evaluate me. So we operate by points, and you can always keep track of those as we go on Canvas. When you look at the quizzes, they are taken electronically. Once you finish the 20 questions, your answers will be shown to you. You only get to take it once, and you have a time limit of 45 minutes. But you might miss 1 or 2 simply because of misreadings, and if you do miss one, you just didn't know, then it's a good check for understanding. You can go back and check in the text why you did that. And if I messed up, it could be that we messed up on the question, wasn't worded correctly. So if a third of you miss any one of the questions, then we just don't count it. Also, on those discussion boards, these are to keep us applying this information to the real world. Again, in each discussion board, you have 3 questions that you'll be asked to choose from, and so it's really kind of fun to see the different posts, because all 3 questions are usually asked answered 2 or 3 times by different students, so it gives you a different feedback, and usually no 2 are ever the same. I will ask at the least that you respond to at least 5 other posts that are going beyond simply saying, yeah, I agree with you, it's a good idea. Expand upon that and build upon it so we can foster a discussion in these discussion boards. Not all 13 of these will be on the chapter. 7 of them will be applying the chapter material. The other 5 will be dealing with your work sample, how you're going to be doing certain things in your work sample. And then if you have any questions, that would be the place that you ask them so that we can answer them for you. When you reply to a discussion board question, you might want to follow a 3/8 paragraph form. It's a simple way to make sure that you respond with at least 3 points. And again, it's just a format. You don't have to do this, but it gives you a kind of an idea of what a well-developed paragraph might look like. For example, in your topic sentence, first sentence, you answer the question by stating your position, answer, and maybe the 3 points that you're going to make to answer that question. And then in your second sentence, you give us that first reason, and then third sentence there would be some sort of supporting example or documentation or explanation of that first reason. You repeat that in the 4th and 5th sentence for your second reason, 6th and 7th sentence your third reason, and then just like any good speech, you conclude. So you tell them what you're going to tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them. So good writing, simple 3/8. Again, you don't have to follow this model. It just gives you an idea of how you might use a well-developed paragraph. The work sample will be the 3rd major part of your grade. It's about 1/4 of it, but we'll spend the whole course starting on the 2nd week looking at how that's put together. It's a good thinking process. That is how you might, from here on out in your teaching career, think about each of the units that you teach. But the teacher work sample, I think, is easy to do if you're concrete sequential, because we're going to give you a template, show you at least 2 dozen examples of how different disciplines and people have answered those questions, and we'll give you a bunch of ideas to help you answer. But the template is simply you type in, you keep following what the template says, and we'll give you quite a lot of detail on that as we go through the course. The video will be one of the ways that we give you the detailed instructions. We'll go through each item on the template, what other people may be thinking about putting. The discussion boards will keep you on track and give you possible answers, how other people are responding to those questions. And again, we'll provide a couple of dozen examples from different disciplines to give you a bunch of ideas. The course quiz you're going to take probably after you finish watching this. It's simply a way that I know that you kind of have read through the syllabus, you've listened to this video, and you're ready to go tackle the course. And then last, I'll ask you about 14 questions about the course. It's anonymous. I do not know who said what, but it'll be at the last day, and pretty well at the last day you already know your grades. It gives me feedback so I know what to change and what I need to do to get better. So in essence, your week will usually look like this. As you tackle each of the weeks, you're going to be reading what we ask you to read, either in the text or visiting the supporting websites or reading the various articles. But you might spend a day or a couple hours doing that, and then you're going to spend some time taking the quiz and then constructing an answer for the discussion board and then posting your response. And then as people respond to you, you respond to them. Last couple of days of the week you'll be talking with people in the discussion page, and then we start a new module. That'll be how most of the weeks will go when it comes to looking at the text, and when it comes to writing your teacher work sample. It won't be as structured, but we're going to give you quite a lot of time to get that done. If you're going to be late on an assignment, I know life happens, all kinds of things happen. I know some of you are coaches, some of you things just happen. So if you're going to be late with an assignment, just tell me and come up with a real creative excuse. I love that one. But I'm pretty lenient when it comes to time, but just make sure you tell me what the problem is, and we'll work with you. We kind of take attendance and look at how you're doing. In fact, the course keeps a record of all the pages you visit and how much time you spend on each, and it's really kind of fascinating what Canvas can do. But set enough time throughout the week so you can complete the assignments in a timely manner. That's the biggest problem I usually find with online people. You just wait till the last minute to get done, then just don't have enough time to do it. So set some time aside so you make sure you can handle the demands of the course. So attendance again is kind of by completion of assignments. So just if you turn everything in on time and do the best you can, you won't have a lick of problem with this class. I will plan to have a very good time. I love teaching and exploring different ways of doing things. I love to see how your unit goes and how inventive you were in the different instructional strategies, how you subgroups, how your kids did, and which subgroups did better than others. And it's kind of fascinating for me to see this course complete itself and read about how your kids did in your class. So have a good time with it, and we'll be seeing you around. Bye-bye.